And you know what? Listen, I put that on Tomlin too. It's not like Tomlin has to accept whatever Matt Canada does and say, okay, this is the only thing we're going to run. You know, and Canada even said that Tomlin has come into their room as they're, putting the game plan together. So if Mike sees things that he wants, he can tell Matt to put it in the offense. Yes, it's Canada's game plan, but Mike Tomlin oversees it and can change it on the fly or during preparation. So I don't want to absolve Mike Tomlin, to where it's like, oh, it's Matt Canada, because Mike Tomlin could go in and change it, and obviously he hasn't.
Let's go to the lines, Jeff. They're buzzing tonight. We got Frank in Moon Township first up. Hey, Frank.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, buddy. The Penguins, Bob, I've watched them for many, many years. I'm 70 years old, so I've seen them forever. And I just feel like they're too slow. The Buffalo team tonight, they had a 21-year-old, a 25-year-old, a 22-year-old playing the game, just running circles around them. And there needs to be something done with the system that they're playing right now, because it's not working and the lines aren't working.
I think, Jeff, too, I mean, this is also a direct result of being all in the way Jim Rutherford was all those years. And you traded picks. They don't have much in their system right now. I would have expected Samuel Poulin to be up here and contributing big time. I would have expected Nathan Lagaré. I would expect, finally you're seeing P.O. Joseph a little bit in the trade acquisition. But the fact is they went without much in their cupboard when it came to draft picks, and they did it to try to win, and they won. So they made a choice to continue with this window. They think it's open, Jeff. But listen, if things fall apart here in this season, I could see Ron Hextall getting antsy maybe, or maybe the ownership group saying, hey, you know what? Next year these guys are going to be a year older, and this is what we're seeing now. What are we going to see then?
Yeah, and Bob and Frank, I would say this, they were at a crossroads this offseason. They had Letang and Malkin that were up for contracts. And that was the point of like, okay, do we get younger, or do we believe in this group? And that, what we saw in the playoffs was because we didn't have a goalie, and that's the direction that they went. And at least they went all in. I'll say that. They went with basically all this guys back. We believe in this team. So far, it hasn't shown through. It's still early in the season. But, they're kind of at where the Steelers were the last couple of years with Roethlisberger. You still got Crosby there. How do you give up on winning when you have Sidney Crosby, when you know that you need to get younger at some point?
But I still think if this team is healthy and they're in the playoffs with this group, I think they could be dangerous in the playoffs with this group. But I got to tell you, the goaltending has been less than what I thought it would be. I was banking on Tristan Jarry he's been very spotty this year, and I don't think DeSmith's been much better, but they haven't had a lot of help either, as you saw if you watched the highlights. Let's go back to the lines. We got Robert in Greensburg. Robert, you're on the air. Go ahead.
They should have traded Najee Harris. It should have traded him.
They just drafted him.
Well,
they're not going to trade him. What they need him to do is to do what he's supposed to do, which is, and listen, when I heard comments like, I can't find any holes, and you can't expect me to do everything, that's not what you would want from a second-year player who has one of the worst total yards of running backs who start in the NFL, Jeff. You can't do that. I realize you may be trying to be a captain and, throwing stuff out, look like you're in a leadership position. But at the same time, you just got to put it out there. And I know the line needs work, but you can't say that.
Listen, the foot injury, those are injuries that linger. I think that's playing a part of it. I think that's played into his head.
But I asked him the other day, Jeff, if he's 100%. He said yes. So if you're saying yes, then you have to judge him accordingly.
Right, and he might just be saying that. But let's just assume he's 100%. Here's the other move I would make with him. I'm not stripping him of his captain's duties, but tell him, don't worry about any of those captain duties. Let Kenny handle that. Let other guys handle that. You just worry about doing your 111th. Just carry the ball, find the holes, and be that guy we saw in his rookie year that put his head down and moved piles. Don't worry about if your offensive line misses something. Just worry about doing your job and nothing else, because I think he's got a lot going on in his head. And what I saw him dancing out there in the flat, that looked like a guy to me that, was indecisive, that may be trying to make too many plays. Just go do your job. I think that's what's really hampering him right now.
I think you're right, and I think that's correctable, and he needs to do it, and they need to do it. Let's go to Mike in Wexford. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
Just wanted to follow up one of the previous callers who talked about the Penguins, and how old they look and slow, but I get that the core has been together for 16, 17 years, but guys, they got to do something different. They look slow. They look beat. They look just slow altogether. It's tough to see.
Here's an idea, Mike. How about being more responsible with the lead, whether that's coaching or players executing the coaching? Bottom line is, when you have a lead, you play differently. You learn to figure out ways to make it difficult on the opposition to get into your zone. Stop odd man breaks when you're up. Stop pinching your defenseman when you're up. Stop trying to outscore people when you already have the lead, Jeff. These are bad habits that they continued. I think if you learn how to, you got to trap, you got to do whatever you can to keep the other team away from getting legitimate scoring opportunities when you're up by 3 goals like last night and 2 goals like tonight.
Yeah, I mean, their margin for error is slim, and, they don't – it's not just those big 3 that are looking slower. I mean, before Jeff Carter was injured, I mean, Brian Dumoulin, he was hurt last year. He's not come back and had a solid start to this season. I mean, and I think some of the new defenseman pairings are, Petrie is trying to work with Pettersson. They're trying to figure out some things on the defensive end. So I get that, but, man, I get the style thing. I don't know if you can reinvent the wheel with this team. I think they have to at some point. They need to figure out a way to win where they're not trying to play as fast as they were, but play more responsible, even if that's a little bit more boring, which some of these guys may not want to do.
And that's the problem. You have to get in their heads, and that's a tough thing to crack sometimes because those guys play the way they want, especially on the power play. Look how many shorthanded opportunities. They gave up one tonight, Jeff. Shorthanded, they have a power play. It could have been a breakaway goal. The guy lost control of the puck before he moves in on to Smith. We got to go to a break. We'll come back with more. Jeff Hathhorn here with me tonight. We hope you call us too at 412-575-2600. We're right here live, Pittsburgh CW. And we're also simulcasting 93.7 The Fan.